Dr. Fatfat, welcome.
Thank you.
I appreciate your being here and taking time to share about your life and your views. And just for our listeners, can you give us a short summary about your life and a little bit about your history?
Well, I was born in Lebanon. I came to United States for my education. And like many people in this world, I ended up staying in the country. And I got my education and I worked, my undergraduate is in computer science. I have my 2 masters. I have an MBA and another master's, but my PhD is focused on youth and youth migration. So this was a very, very interesting time in my life. Then I worked with UNESCO, with UNICEF, with UNDP. Then I worked as the Minister of Youth and Sports within the structure of United Nations in Kosovo for 4 years. And after that, I went to Iraq and I worked for 3 years as a senior advisor, and I helped a lot. I was responsible for the young people in Iraq, and I helped open many, youth centers and sports clubs. And now I'm working on the Middle East Peace Initiative. That is really between the Palestinian and the Israelis and the Middle East. So it's been exciting life to be here and to be in the United States.
Well, it's been exciting just to get to know you better too.
Thank you, Mark.
Now, as a Muslim American, there's been challenges, to Muslims living in America ever since the militants have flown planes into buildings. Americans tend to generalize and tend to get fearful. And one of our missions is to inform, especially the evangelical Christian community of America, that the vast majority of Muslims interpret the Quran in a peaceful interpretation. And they're looking for the same things all of our families are. Our kids go to school and see our children, our grandchildren grow up in a peaceful world. And sometimes what we do in the West, especially the Christian West, sometimes supports more of the militants inadvertently than it does those like you who are peaceful, like the Christians are trying to be peaceful, by sort of broad brushing Muslims and attacking the Prophet Muhammad and attacking the Quran. I'm not saying they should believe it, but by attacking it, it sort of leaves moderates in a no-win situation. They turn to the radicals, they're threatened, they turn to some of their friends in the West, and we're attacking their culture and their faith. So how would you advise, if you were talking to a Christian audience, what would you, as a Muslim American, as someone who also a Muslim that loves and follows Jesus Christ, what would you say to them?
Well, first, generalizing is really a very bad way of thinking anyway, in anything in life. So you cannot generalize. There is bad people in every culture. There is good people in every culture. There is no question that the majority, the silent majority of the Islamic world, the Muslim world, are good people like you and I. People who love life, love to have a future for themselves, love to see their kids growing, and they're we're all human beings. But there's no question there's some extremists that make everybody look bad. And for years, I felt uncomfortable because people have generalized. I mean, the minute people, they just say, "Oh, you're a Muslim." It's like, and what's wrong with Muslims, So it's like many things happen. For example, in Waco, Texas, Koresh, I remember. So, and many other people like him, you cannot just say, wow, then all Americans are like this, or some people who actually commit crimes in America or somewhere else. You cannot generalize. So I would say that, we need more education to talk more about not religions, but to focus more about what unites us together. What unites us together is 90% we have 90% commonalities. Somehow people always focus on the differences. Let's focus on commonalities a little bit, and I think we'll be able to get to the next step.
Yeah, what would you think, Mounzer, would be some of the key commonalities that we have between Muslims and Christians, the Quran and the Bible?
I think we all believe in one God. We all believe in doing good things in this world. We all believe in loving each other. We all believe not to sin. We all believe not to kill. We all believe not to do bad things. So there's a lot of commonalities, and the principles of Jesus and the principles of Muhammad and the principle of Moses they're basically the same. I mean, they're 99.9% the same. You know, isn't that enough for people to come together?
See, one can argue, and I was with the Mufti from Bosnia this morning, and we argued that when I look at the Quran, I don't see anything, if you look at the correct translation as best as we can using Arabic scholars like as yourself, I don't see any difference between the Quran and the Bible. Christians immediately, what are you talking about? Muslims don't believe Jesus is the Son of God. I said, however, Muslims do believe what Christians mean by the Son of God. They won't call him that because Son of God, if you correct me if I'm wrong, in the minds of a Muslim, Son of God means God had a sexual relations with Mary, or married Mary, and as opposed to just speaking supernaturally into Mary's womb and conceiving Jesus supernaturally. And all Muslims that I know believe in the supernatural conception of Jesus, who was born as the Messiah, sinless Word of God. But yet Christians would have no idea that Muslims believe that. So this is where we say there are many deadly misunderstandings, and one of them is the sonship of Jesus. While Christians look at Jesus, the Son of God, and Islam repeatedly says he's not, what it says in the Quran, what my reading of it, it says Jesus was not the Walid ibn Allah, is not the begotten, normally conceived by normal means like you and I would conceive our children. And any Christian that knew the Arabic word walid is a male word meaning birth from him or born from him normally would agree with the Quran that Jesus was not conceived. He was not begotten that way. He was supernaturally begotten. But unfortunately, the English translations of the Arabic are very poor. And the Muslims mean what the Christians mean, but we don't know that. We both think the opposite of the way we actually do.
Oh, yes. Yes. Well, you know what, I'm not a religious person, but I'm spiritual, and of course I was born and I understand the Islamic religion. Jesus was mentioned, my understanding, 82 places in the Quran. The Virgin Mary is mentioned twice as much in the Quran that she's mentioned in the Bible. Now there's something new I just learned about. Again, you know, I was not aware of. There is a special chapter. It's called Surah Al-Imran, which they speak specifically about the family of the Virgin Mary. There is no chapter on the mother of Muhammad, or the mother of the wife of Muhammad, or the daughter of Muhammad.
Right.
So you know, in the Quran, you know, we have a lot of respect and appreciation for Jesus. And as a matter of fact, to be a Muslim, you cannot but love Jesus the same way you love Muhammad, not 1 millimeter less. Even you have to love Moses the same way you love Muhammad and you love Jesus.